just stopped you. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. Get your hands off of me. What are you doing? Oh, my God. What the f*** is happening? What the f*** are you doing? Get the f*** off me. Get the f*** off. You're gonna kill me. Oh, my God. Help. 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 Stop. 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 Give me your arm. Stop. Stop. I'm not fine. Stop. You're gonna kill me. You're gonna kill me. Help. Help. I'm not resisting. Okay. I'm not. I can't. You have my hands.
Move your arms behind your
You
back.
have my hands.
Move your arms behind your back.
You how? 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 You have me cut? Bro, what the? Bro, help! 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 I'm trying to get my hands behind my back, dude. Yeah, let me. I'm not resisting. Stop! Stop!
Hello again, YouTube family. Thanks for joining me on this video. The video opener was a video that's recently been released. It's an incident that happened on February 10th of this year, and it's only become recent news as the victim in the video has filed a lawsuit against the Sheriff's Department there in LA County because of what he had suffered through. And so this incident is Emmett Brock, the person who was getting out of his car at the 7-Eleven. The cop that pulled in behind him was Los Angeles Sheriff's Department Deputy Joseph Banza, and Joseph Banza came up to Emmett Brock and said that I stopped you, and Emmett Brock responds that no you didn't. And that started the altercation where the sheriff's deputy grabbed Brock, threw him to the ground, punched him in the head 8 times, and eventually put him in handcuffs and put him in the patrol car. He was taken to there were paramedics called to the scene. Both the sheriff's deputy and Emmett Brock were looked at by paramedics. Brock was taken to a hospital and examined, and it goes on from there. In a statement from the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, they said the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department takes all use of force incidents seriously. The department is investigating the information and allegations brought forward by Mr. Brock and his attorney. Unfortunately, we cannot comment any further at this time due to the pending litigation in this matter. And I think it's probably, for anybody familiar with the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, laughable for them to say that they take all use of force incidents seriously. That is a laughable statement by the Sheriff's Department. This particular Sheriff's Department, the reason why this incident that's come out in a lawsuit recently has become a bigger deal is because of 2 recent incidents in use of force, which has got the FBI investigating the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. This Sheriff's Department has a long history of doing the wrong thing way too much. This Sheriff's Department has literal gangs. There are literal gangs in the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department. Cops who are sheriff's deputies by job description, who formed gangs and are going around as gangs outside of being cops. And I don't mean they infiltrated gangs to try and arrest gangs. They started their own gangs. And it's insane. You have like 7 or 8 different gangs in Los Angeles that are cops. The gang members are actual cops. So this sheriff's department is rife with issues. The current sheriff, who got elected into his position as sheriff, vowed to control the gang problem within the sheriff's department, to control the issues, the unlawful use of force issues in the sheriff's department. These are things that he ran on saying he would fix that still obviously aren't fixed. And they aren't fixed because leadership within the police department itself has no interest, obviously, in fixing them. So we go on. Deputy Benz's account from his report, that's a report he filed following the incident. It appeared he was about to walk away from his car and myself, which is true. This whole incident is Emmett Brock stopped at a 7-Eleven to go inside and buy a soda. Joseph Benza, the sheriff's deputy who was behind him, did not once turn on his strobe lights or his siren. He did not do anything to indicate he was stopping Emmett Brock. That's why when the sheriff's deputy comes over to Brock and says, "Come here, I stopped you," and Brock says, "No, you didn't," it's because the sheriff's deputy did not have his lights on. And let's go to the very beginning. Emmett Brock explained through talking to journalists who were asking about this incident that he left work early that day. Emmett Brock's a teacher. He's a school teacher. He lost his job because of this incident. But he is a school teacher. He left his job early because Emmett Brock is a trans man. And one of his co-workers at the school harasses him over being a trans man. And it frustrated him that day, so he left work early and was going to a counseling session. He was already upset, and as he was driving past this cop, Joseph Benza, who had some woman he was yelling at on the side of the road, as Emmett Brock drove by, he admitted that he flipped the bird at the cop. As he drove by, and the sheriff's deputy was yelling at some woman on the side of the road, he flipped him the bird. And he figured the cop probably didn't even see it. It was just something he did because he was already frustrated that day and saw this officer berating this woman on the side of the road for whatever he was berating her for. And we could assume she actually did something wrong and deserved to be addressed by the cop. But I don't know why we would give this cop or this sheriff's department the benefit of the doubt. We shouldn't. They don't deserve it. Sorry, but you've got to be a professional organization that behaves as such to deserve the benefit of the doubt. They do not, at this point, deserve the benefit of the doubt. And so I wouldn't assume she deserved to be redressed by the cop, however she was being yelled at. I assume he was just bullying her as well. But apparently, Benza did see the bird flipped at him. And because cops in this country suffer from the same, one of the things they suffer from is the same illness, and that is they all have extremely massive, yet extremely fragile egos. And so if you flip them the bird, that destroys their whole world or whatever, and so they've got to go and beat you up. That's the mentality of the cops. It's this whole idea of if you disrespect a cop, that's the worst crime imaginable in the United States of America, to hurt a cop's feelings. But Brock went by, flipped the cop off. He noticed a short time later there was a cop behind him, following him. So he made a series of deliberate turns on side streets to see if the cop car followed him, which it did. Still never turning on its lights or its sirens. So Emmett Brock, while he was driving, called 911 because there was a cop car following him. And the operator was trying to assess what he was in need of, and he was explaining that I want to know that it's actually a cop that's behind me and not somebody I need to worry about, somebody that's stalking me. And he was saying that the cop car has no lights on, they have no siren on, and the 911 operator said basically, well, he has no lights on, no siren on. What do you want? What do you expect me to do? I can't do anything about that. He's not stopping you. He's not done anything to you. There's nothing I can do. So that's when Brock got off the phone with the 911 operator and pulled into the 7-Eleven. In the car behind him was Joseph Benza, who ended up punching him in the face 7 times. But in Benza's report, the written report on the incident, he said it appeared that Brock was going to walk away from his car and from myself, that is the sheriff's deputy, Benza, which of course he was. He was going into a 7-Eleven. You did not make a traffic stop. You didn't make a Terry stop, you know. Normal traffic stops are called Terry stops because of the 1969 Terry versus Ohio case. And you did not in any way signal a stop to the guy. He just pulled in on his own accord to a 7-Eleven to get a soda. You pulled in behind him and decided you were stopping him at that point. And his rejection of my traffic detention and his apparent intent to distance himself from his vehicle, which the only way to go into a 7-Eleven and buy a soda is to distance yourself from your vehicle. You can't both stay with your vehicle and go into a 7-Eleven and buy a soda. You can't do both at once. But this is the cop's report. His apparent intent to distance himself from his vehicle further raised safety concerns, because one of the other things that cops all suffer from is they are all pansies. They're afraid of their own shadows. I know from my training and experience, which again is laughable, that those who possess contraband items inside vehicles commonly attempt to disassociate themselves with their vehicles when law enforcement is present. That could be true, it could be untrue at one time or another. It's not universal. But the fact that you did not stop him, you did not indicate a stop, you did not do anything to cause a stop. He pulled into a convenience store to get a soda, and he was leaving his car to get the soda. But that was Benza's report. Part of it. I mean, he made a lot of claims in his report. Deputy Benza also claimed he cocked his right hand back into a fist, indicative of someone about to throw a punch. Benza had decided that Brock was at the onset of assaulting me, and claimed that Brock continuously tried to bite me, despite the fact that hospital staff and the paramedics on site noted there were no bite marks on the deputy. There were no injuries at all on the deputy, other than a fracture in his hand from punching somebody in the face. After punching Brock in the face about 8 successive times, the deputy reported, "My punches had their intended effect," which I'm sure was to make his ego feel a little bit better. That was the intended effect, and he's indicating there his ego was eased now that he punched the guy in the face after flipping him off. Also in Deputy Benza's report, he said Brock attempted to rip my skin from my hand, which could result in permanent disfigurement. So, you saw the video. We'll watch it again, but you have this guy, Emmett Brock, got out of his car to go into a gas station, to go into a convenience store, to buy a soda. The sheriff's deputy came over and told him, "Come here, I stopped you." He indicated he didn't. And so the sheriff's deputy grabbed him by his left arm, put his arm around him, and body slammed him to the pavement, and then started punching him in the face 8 times. And Howie's claiming that Brock attempted to rip my skin from my hand. He had no injuries on his hand other than the fracture from punching somebody in the face. And that was literally the assessment of the doctors at the hospital, that he had fractured a bone in his hand from punching somebody in the face, in the head. Both paramedics and hospital staff noted no injuries to Deputy Benza, except for a hand fracture that was caused by punches to Brock's head. Brock, on the other hand, had bruises, scrapes, and a concussion because he was punched in the head 7 times after being body slammed to the pavement. For Brock, after treatment at the hospital, he was taken to the jail and booked. When trying to figure out where to place Brock in the jail, he explained he was a trans man. The jailer replied with, "So you're a girl?" And Brock explained, "No, I am a man. I've undergone years of hormone treatments. I am a man." And the jailer asked Brock if he had a penis, to which Brock explained that he did have a penis. He is a man. He is just a trans man. Despite this, they placed Brock in a women's holding cell. Before placing him in a women's holding cell, though, they required Brock to go to the bathroom and show them his penis. And Brock explained that they spent a few minutes in the bathroom examining his genitals and then placed him in a women's holding cell. And that's to add the insult to injury, literally. After Sheriff's Department leadership watched the video from the 7-Eleven, they cleared Benza of any wrongdoing. One sergeant wrote that Brock was assaultive and with threat of serious bodily injury. You watched the video. You know there was absolutely zero threat of any serious bodily injury to the deputy. At least not from Brock. He could have got injured body slamming Brock to the ground if he had landed wrong. Another sergeant concurred and said the use of force was objectively reasonable. Objectively reasonable. This is the police leadership claiming they reviewed the video, which at this point I'm assuming perhaps they didn't review the video. Maybe they just looked at the report and said, yeah, we concur. It's all good. One of the sergeants filling out the paperwork, where it asked on the paperwork, could officer safety, tactical communication, or de-escalation techniques have been improved? The sergeant answered, no. Even the division commander, Alan Castellano, wrote the punches appeared to be justified. So that's for the new sheriff there, who said he was going to fix these problems that existed prior to him becoming sheriff, not being fixed. That's the leadership saying, looked all good to me. This is a still image from the body cam footage of the deputy. You can see Brock was getting out of his car, the deputy walked over, addressed him, and he just looked at him. No indication whatsoever of violence. But let's take a look at the video.
Come here. I just stopped you. No, you didn't. Yeah, I did. Get your hands off of me. What are you doing? Oh, my God.
In the surveillance video, you can hear Emmett Brock, a teacher and 23-year-old transgender man, as he screams for his life. Now, this incident unfolded February 10th of this year, but is just coming to light. An attorney for Brock says he was pulled over for having an air freshener hanging from the rearview mirror. But the deputy got enraged after his client flipped him off. The deputy followed Brock in his cruiser until he pulled over here into the parking lot of the 7-Eleven in Whittier, got out of the car, and that's when we see the deputy confront Brock and then beats him to the ground. Now, this altercation lasted for about 3 minutes as Brock was punched in the head. We spoke with Brock's attorney, who says his client is now jobless and facing criminal charges.
So that was a news story of the video incident. And again, you can see, this image, this is when he got out of his car, the cops walking over, addressing him, saying that I stopped you. Brock saying, you didn't stop me. And this is just after that in the video. The cop grabs his left arm, he's closing his car door with his right hand, and the cop's pulling him towards him, and he's saying, you heard in the video, what are you doing? And he's like trying to pull away, And that's when the cop grabs him and slams him to the ground. I mean, that's utterly insane to me. And this is, just following that, this is the point where the cop's claiming he was about to get punched in the face. And the truth is, this guy's trying to pull away from him, and he's grabbing him around his waist and about to throw him to the ground. That's what actually happened. It's utter insanity. And this is the cop, claiming that he was in fear for his life from this guy. And I have in the corner here at the car, you can see the little yellow highlighted area, and that is the rear view mirror of Emmett Brock's car, because once the sheriff's deputy realized he was caught on video doing what he did, he had to come up with a reason for stopping Brock. And the reason he came up with was saying there was a air freshener hanging from the rearview mirror of Emmett Brock's car that he believed impaired the driver's ability to see out the windshield. And so he had to come up with a reason for having stopped this guy once it came out that he was caught on camera. And this altercation was caught on camera. And perhaps there are some air fresheners made that don't fit in with civil statutes around the country. I highly doubt it. I really doubt there are companies making air fresheners that somehow don't fall in line with the laws of the municipalities around the country. Their whole business is trying to sell air fresheners. If their air fresheners get you pulled over, you won't buy them. Do I believe the sheriff's deputy's excuse is BS? Yes, it's complete BS. The truth is, he got flipped off. He saw himself get flipped off. His massive, fragile ego got hurt. And so he felt he needed to chase this guy down and beat him up because he has a badge and he serves, particularly this guy, in a sheriff's department rife with problems and violence, including gangs, literal gangs in within the police force. And so he felt this is something he's allowed to do. One of the things he's allowed to do with his badge is beat people up that hurt his feelings. The truth is, and the Supreme Court has already ruled on this, you can flip a cop off. Literally, you could get pulled over for speeding. A cop could come to your window. You could have your license, registration, and insurance ready. And the cop could come to the window, and you could say, here's my bird, here's my information, go to it. You could literally do that. You could flip the cop off as he came to your window and give him your information. I would expect he's going to write you up for anything he can possibly write you up for. His feelings will be hurt. He will try to do as much to you as he possibly can. So I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't suggest anybody do that. But there is protected freedom of speech in this country. And the courts in this country have already ruled that flipping somebody off is protected speech under the First Amendment. You can dislike it if you want, but that's the fact of it. So the one thing this cop can never do is say he flipped me off and made me hurt my fees, so I felt like I needed to go and chase him down and beat him up. That would not hold, so he has to come up with an excuse, and he comes up with one of the lamest ones, because honestly, in order for Joseph Benza to have been concerned about his air freshener, he would have had to have seen the front of this guy's windshield at some point. And maybe he saw it in that brief second that Emmett Brock was driving by when he had the woman on the side of the road yelling at her. We're assuming he saw the bird that was flipped at him, and that's what set him off on this track of madness. But other than that, the whole time he was behind the guy. He was following Emmett Brock through the various turns he made and into the the 7-Eleven. I mean, by the time they are here on the ground with the cop on top of Emmett Brock, he still hasn't seen the air freshener on the guys. I guarantee you, you can zoom the video in, look at it multiple times. There is never a time he looks at their air freshener hanging from this guy's rearview mirror. And so this is something he came up with after the fact, an excuse to pull the kid over. It's unfortunate, and it's way too common in this country. And I mean, the LA Sheriff's Department has a lot of problems. The sheriff they elected, apparently it isn't up to the task of fixing those problems. As we can see, he also is too much of a pansy to fix the problems. But this is a problem all over the country. This exists in police departments all over the country, big and small. You have this same problem, and one of the problems is police don't know the law, they don't know the Constitution, and beyond that, they've had so long of a stretch of time where they have been so untouchable. I've talked about police issues before on this channel. I'll probably talk about them again because this stuff is going to keep happening. I mean, for so long in this country, police were able to make up what the truth was with the report, because there was no cameras. People didn't have cameras in their pockets. There weren't security cameras all over the place. Most of the police interactions weren't seen, and so the police were able to say what the truth was in their reports. You have police throughout the history of policing bragging about the fact that they get to tell what the truth is. Their report gets to tell what the truth is. Their side of the truth is what's going to be listened to. So the police are the ones who are right now having to deal with the fact that there are cameras everywhere. There are security cameras all over the place. Everybody has a camera in their pocket. Some of the cops are having to wear body cams now. And despite that, despite the fact that everything is caught on audio, on a video, a lot of it's caught on audio, and the video that we've watched is two separate files. You have the video file from the 7-Eleven, and you have the audio file from the body cam worn by the cop. The Emmett Brock's lawyer matched the audio up to the video so we could see the video and audio together as it was happening. But cops are having to deal with right now the fact that they are able to be scrutinized, and they're having a hard time with it, so they continue acting like lawless thugs because that's what they're used to. They're used to just acting like lawless thugs and having not only judges and prosecutors defend them, not only having the leadership within the police department defend them, but even people within the community, will defend them. Well, they're cops. They have a hard job. Well, there's a lot of hard jobs out there, but they don't mean you get to go out and beat people up. Sorry, it just doesn't. You don't get to behave however you want because you've got these fragile, massive egos that get hurt so easily. You don't get to go beat people up because your feelings get hurt. It doesn't work that way. And so cops are having a hard time with this stuff. One of the things that is coming up more often now in Terry stops, in the routine police stops, is police playing copyrighted songs, like pop songs. Like you'll hear Taylor Swift or whatever popular song being played during police interactions. Police have started playing those songs so they don't get uploaded on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and wherever, because they'll get taken down because of copyright infringement, because of the song that's being played in the background is copyrighted. And so they're playing games to try and have videos of themselves not come out publicly. And you have cops a lot of times complaining about people videoing them. If you have a lot of these auditors, First Amendment auditors, that will see a police stop and they'll go over, stand at a distance and video the police stop, and the police will come over and start talking to the auditor. And they're like, "I'm just videoing. You can go about your work. Don't mind me. I've got a camera here. I'm just recording." And the police get irate. Sometimes they get physical. Sometimes they end up causing lawsuits. And some of these auditors make money not just from posting videos of the police interactions they record, but suing after they get brutalized by some cop whose feelings got hurt. And that's why you have these municipalities that have these massive police budgets. One of the things they have to budget for are the lawsuits, because the police are going to violate people's rights. The police are going to use force when it is absolutely not necessary, and the police department, the county, is going to get sued. County, city, whatever, will get sued, and they'll have to settle. In this case, Emmett Brock was originally hit with 2 felonies and a misdemeanor. The police department notified his employer, the school that he taught at, of his arrest and the charges against him, and he got fired. The prosecutor who's prosecuting this case dropped it down to 2 misdemeanors: resisting arrest and assault of a police officer, both of which are, I guess you could argue there was resisting arrest because he was trying to break loose of the police officer, but in order to resist arrest, there has to be an arrest. In order for an arrest, there has to be a reason for the arrest. And so once you start working backwards to what was the reason he's being arrested, that's where it all breaks down in this case. And the prosecutor, I'm sure, when they handed him 2 felonies and a misdemeanor, after he saw the video, was like, "Oh no, we're not doing that. Let's drop it down to something really low level and hope this guy doesn't sue us, because if he sues us, we're screwed. We're going to have to settle because we can't win a case. We can't win a lawsuit because this cop's behavior was asinine." I'm sure the prosecutor was telling the police leadership, "We're dropping it down to 2 misdemeanors at best, because he did not commit any felonies. He didn't commit any misdemeanors. We would have a hard time proving that in court, and let's hope he doesn't sue." But now he's suing, and that's why this is in the news. And so the prosecutor realized they were going down the wrong path, trying to prosecute this guy on 2 felony charges. So you have Brock Emmett, who flipped a cop off. The cop got pissed off, decided to start following Brock Emmett. Never once turned on his lights or his siren. When Emmett Brock pulled into a 7-Eleven to buy a soda, the cop pulled in behind him, stopped his car behind Brock's car, and addressed him that he stopped him. "Come here, I stopped you." And as Brock said, "No, you didn't. I just stopped here on my own accord. I'm going to get a soda." And that's where this all started. Not one time is there any indication of why he was stopped. There was no indication of your air fresheners covering your entire windshield. I don't see how you can drive, or whatever the crooked, worthless sheriff's deputy Joseph Banza is claiming now. Joseph Banza, the person we watched, is a threat to society. He should be in prison, not people that are getting put in prison. And here is a video from the lawyer of Emmett Brock.
He says, "I pulled you over," and my client turns to him and says, "No, you didn't." He's already got his hands on him. He takes him to the ground forcibly, injuring his own hand, the deputy's own hand, doing that, which he's trying to blame on my client, and started pummeling him. And the videotape speaks for itself. He's been pounding at the kid's head. He was diagnosed with a concussion by a doctor later after his release. This guy committed multiple felonies against my client, and he's gotten away with it so far.
Brock was taken to the Norwalk substation, where he says he was left humiliated when the jail staff when he told the jail staff that he is a transgender man and that they asked to see his genitals. Now, this is an ongoing investigation.
So the lawyer for Emmett Brock has requested the police department do their own investigation, a real one. They claim they're doing one. As I said, this incident happened in February. In April, the lawyer for Emmett Brock was addressing the police department again in May, and now they're going on with a lawsuit because it's apparent that the sheriff's department, LA Sheriff's Department, does not want to police themselves. They don't want to have to come out and say, yeah, we have some issues still. The sheriff who got elected, claiming he was going to fix all these broken things, would have to come out and say, yeah, it's not all fixed. As a matter of fact, none of it's fixed because I have no interest in fixing it. I just figured I would run for office, and if I got elected, I would be able to collect enough money to keep running and getting elected over and over again until I run for a mayor or for a House of Representatives or for whatever my next goal is. And so you have cops in the LA Sheriff's Department who are doing this type of thing. But as I said, this is a nationwide problem. And Emmett Brock, he's now jobless in LA, dealing with the physical and emotional and mental strain of being attacked for no reason. And you could say, well, you shouldn't have flipped the cop off. Well, you can, or you can choose to do that or not. Either way, the cop's actions are unjustified. You don't have the right to do that just because you have a badge and your feelings are hurt. So, I mean, I don't care that he flipped the cop off. And cops should expect to get flipped off more because of this kind of stuff. Honestly. I mean, if you were in that area and you needed help, would you call the cops expecting somebody like this to show up and help you? You're going to count on that? I wouldn't count on that. I wouldn't count on this police department to be professional or to be in any way serving of the community, because they apparently serve themselves. That's what their interest is to serve themselves. And as I said, it's a problem nationwide, and we see it over and over. Don't take my word for it. Look at the literally thousands upon thousands of videos posted online day after day, month after month. You can claim ignorance, you can claim to be blind to the issue, but it is a problem nationwide in police departments big and small. And at some point, we as a nation have to address it. At some point, we have to fix it, because the cops aren't going to fix it themselves. They have no desire to. Just like that sheriff that got elected in LA County. Obviously, he has no desire to fix the problem. Either that, or the leadership below him isn't going to let him fix it, and he has no power to force them to. You know, at this point, you just have to eradicate the people who are in the police forces. Get rid of them all. Hire anew. And you need to have different hiring procedures, because we're getting the wrong people in there. We're getting thugs. We're getting people with criminal mentalities. We're getting people who are bullies. I mean, my assumption is, and this is just my assumption, that a lot of the people who become cops were high school bullies. They were high school bullies. They got out of high school and realized they had no future. They weren't going to go to college and get some professional job. They weren't going to go to trade school and get some great job. They didn't know what they were going to do. They just wanted to keep picking on people, and they saw, oh, law enforcement. I can go to the academy, deal with what crap way they're going to treat me in the academy. Then once I get out, I'll have a badge, and I can go around continuing to be a bully. I can continue to be the sad sack, worthless piece of crap that I was before. And maybe that's not the reason why some of these people do it. Maybe it's other mental issues they have, other psychoses they suffer from. But we're getting the wrong people filling the ranks of our police departments, and we've got to fix that. And the only people who can fix it are our elected leaders. They're the ones who would have to go through and do some kind of overhaul in police departments around the country. But that's the story for today. Thanks for watching. Please, if you liked the video, give it a like. Subscribe if you've not subscribed to the video, to the channel. And by all means, have a good day.